here. We're going into our quality control and risk section, and have three great companies demoing here before the end of the demo day. So first we're gonna have LoanLogics, and then MQMR, and then Azimuth GRC. So let's kick off with LoanLogics. And for LoanLogics, we have David Butler and Craig Sylvester joining us today. David, Craig, are you with us?
Testing. Can you hear me, Clayton?
Yeah, loud and clear. Good to see you.
Hey, David Butler's on as well. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, David. Well, let me give a quick introduction to LoanLogics and then let you guys take us forward through the demo. So LoanLogics is a mortgage RegTech software as a service provider. My screen just adjusted there. Sorry about that. RegTech software as a service provider for document processing, quality control, and acquisition due diligence. Their latest innovation is LoanLogics IDEA OnDemand, a real-time inline document processing digital assistant. This and their other technologies and services help clients automate first to improve quality, lower cost, and control risk when manufacturing, buying, or selling loan assets. LoanLogics leverages the latest methodologies in cloud computing and machine learning technology to deliver greater value for their clients. All right, David, Craig, I'm excited to learn more.
So Clayton, thanks for that introduction, and we're glad to be here with you on HousingWire. It's a great way for you to to expose companies and their the latest and greatest in technology. So appreciate you inviting us here today. So I want to start off by saying LoanLogics is certainly an industry leader in RegTech, but we're also an industry leader in data and doc processing. And I'm going to get into the reasons for that here in just a moment, but let's start with the diagram that we have up on screen. So this illustrates where our products intersect throughout the life cycle of the loan, beginning with pre-close all the way to MERS compliance. Our biggest differentiator at LoanLogics is how we apply automation to the front end of the process. It's what drives significant ROI for our clients. And where we begin is that highlighted orange circle, IDEA, which is our data automation tool. Where we begin is we first normalize the documents, we extract, then purify data. We take that purified data and we leverage the power of automation rules for all the different reviews that you see up on screen. And we remove much of that manual process associated with these types of reviews typically. So that's a brief overview of our exception-based platform. Now let's talk about IDEA OnDemand, which is our latest technology advancement, and it can help a specific problem inside of loan origination, particularly with the environment that we find ourselves in currently. So on that last slide, I talked a little bit about how we're a leader in data and doc processing. And let me tell you how we got there. So our experience in data and doc processing spans over a decade. Our first client is a top 10 US originator that offset exceptional growth in one of their verticals by simply introducing the LoanLogics IDEA tool at loan intake, allowing them to do much more with much less and provided that needed scale. Since then, time and high volume have allowed us to powerfully train our machine learning technologies. As a matter of fact, we've been utilizing machine learning and AI way before they were buzzwords in the mortgage industry. So it's certainly not business as usual. Production is spiked. We've got historically low interest rates. I think the good news is this low interest rate environment should persist and continue to bolster production. And when I think of sub 3% interest rates, I'm going to date myself a little and say, I remember the first mortgage I wrote as a loan officer was at 10.5% with one origination fee. The good news was it was for an engineer who brought all the necessary documents. So I submitted a completed application the first time around. So the bad news is this pandemic it's still around. Staff is remote. They can be reduced. And this high volume that we're experiencing is exacerbating that problem. Staff is working tons of hours trying to get loans through the system. And I think the problem that continues is that lenders still aren't able to get the majority of data from the borrowers in a digital format. So much of it is created by hand keying information off of PDFs. And this hand keying comes at a great expense, not only from a manpower perspective, but also the frequent errors that it causes in the origination process. And as a due diligence firm, LoanLogics knows all too well how these types of manual processes, they can impact loan quality and then ultimately loan saleability.
No trouble gonna bring me down, shake me or make me frown. No worry gets the best of me. Just let go, oh, 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 you gotta just let go. Oh, 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 you gotta just let go. Oh, 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 you gotta just let go. Oh, oh, just let go. Oh, 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 you gotta just let go.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. I appreciate it. And thanks everyone for joining today and giving us the opportunity to show you our latest product and idea on demand. Just a few things to point out before we get started here is everything I'm going to show you today is completely cloud native, built on the cloud, highly scalable, highly secure, and just enables us to have a rapid development time cycle. So as we get started here, I'm going to go ahead and upload a loan. And while I'm doing that, just talk about the UI and how slick the UI is. We've been training folks coming up on the platform. The ramp time for some of the users has been less than 30 minutes of ramp time. I mean, it's really within a matter of training because the UI is so easy to use. But as we get started here, I'm going to upload a document. This document will contain a loan estimate, a closing disclosure, and a note. And so the first thing it's going to do is it's going to upload into the Idea on Demand database, and then it's going to actually push out to our services, the machine learning, the AI that Craig spoke about earlier. So while that loan's processing, let's go ahead and hop into this loan that has an indexing exception. And you're probably wondering what an indexing exception is. Well, we provide exceptions on indexing and data extraction because for every document that comes through the system, as well as every individual data element that we extract, we provide a confidence score that corresponds to it. So in this case, if that confidence score comes back and it doesn't meet our threshold, then that fires an exception for a user to actually put eyes on glass. So in this case, this diploma, if we look at the documents associated to it, even though they're blurry and it's really hard to read, you can't really read anything on there, this is actually an identification and we can see that. So what we can do is highlight those pages and we can move them into the correct document type bucket. Now what's cool is, as you put this search here in the top, in the search bar there, as I start to type, this is automatically adjusting for every letter I add. So in this case, it's searching and shrinking that list down from over 480 unique doc types that we index today to just the ones that contain the ID, the 2 letters ID in it. So we know it's an ID, we'll go ahead and select that and we'll confirm it. And basically what this is saying is, hey, the bucket that we did have it identified in is no longer there. So we're going to go ahead and delete it. And we're going to just confirm that, which at this point, you can see all exceptions have been cleared. We have our ID in there now, and this loan can now be submitted for data extraction. So let's go look at that loan that we uploaded when we first began, right? So that is here, this test. And you can see it came back with 26 exceptions on it in the data extraction. Now you're probably saying to yourself, wow, 26 exceptions, that's a lot. But remember, I told you we individually index over 480 documents. And of those 480 documents, we are data extracting potentially over 8,000 individual data elements. So when you think about the loan estimate, the note, and the closing disclosure, that's over 1,100 individual data elements. Actually, it's 1,145. So when you put that 26 exceptions over 1,145, you're right around a 2% exception rate. And again, the confidence, what I haven't mentioned yet is the confidence scores are completely configurable by you. So if you don't like our thresholds and you don't want to look at an exception on a form number on the note, then you have the ability to dial down that threshold so that you never see the form number or any particular data element that is not important to, whether it's the intake of the documents from the borrower on the retail side, or the, in this case, the note on the correspondent file that won't have any bearing on you, whether or not you want to purchase that loan or not. However, on the contrary, if you look at the loan amount, for example, on the note, it's probably the most important piece of data in the whole data file and on the most important document. So that may be one that you want to dial up to say, hey, if it's not 98% confident, then I want eyes on glass and validating that the data is right on that document. And as you can see very easily, because we know where we're looking for on the document and we zoom that in for the user so it's easy to see, but we're using keywords, which is very important. We're not looking for specific coordinates to find the data elements. So if you think about a 1040, for example, where the 1040 is completely different from 2017, 2018, 2019, but we can still maintain a high quality of data extraction because we're looking for keywords and not those key coordinates. And so, Craig, the clients I've spoken to, they're really looking to bring this way left in the whole process. So as loans or documents are coming in from the borrower or from a wholesale or correspondent perspective, from the broker or the seller, and they're getting those documents in, they're spending 30, 45, sometimes 60 minutes on getting that file in the door, eyes on glass, entering the data. And they're really looking to bring that down to 5 to 10 minutes with this tool. What are some things that you're hearing in the market with your clients?
Well, I think that certainly these, the right OCR ADR tool can provide significant value to lenders. I think the industry, though, Dave, overall has not had a great experience with these types of tools. Many of them you need to install and host it. Many of them come out of the box with very, very limited capabilities. They take time, even years, to perfect. And then the lender needs to hire staff not only to manage the platform, but continually build the templates and train the machines. So with this particularly, with our IDEA on demand delivery, we've turned that right around. So the system is managed by our team of award-winning experts, and our large volume allows us to continually fine-tune that machine learning engine, right? So, I mean, if you look at it, for example, over 10 years and millions of loans, how many unstructured gift letters have we had the benefit of seeing and training the machines on, as an example?
It's very true, very true. So one more thing, Craig, before I hand it back over to you to close us out, is everything that we've looked at today will be available via API. So if you don't want to use our software or user interface to create the loan, you do have the ability to integrate into your LOS or your POS to be able to take those documents in and create the loan in our system that way. And then you would just be working the exceptions in our user interface. So Craig, with that, I'll hand that back over to you.
Thanks, Dave. I think, Dave, appreciate you showing us how easy it is to automate document processing on an as-needed basis with a tool like IDEA on Demand. And I know you talked about cloud-native delivery having not only scalability, but it provides speed and high availability. One of the other big benefits of having a cloud-native build is that it enables us, LoanLogics, to rapidly develop the product on a continuous basis. And I would say to all our lender friends out there, your IT folks certainly will be impressed with the way we've architected and delivered this product. One of the things I want to step back to is the breadth and depth of not only our document taxonomy. Dave, you mentioned 480 recognizable documents out of the box, but also the depth of our classification and data extraction, where we're able to garner 8,000 unique data elements in a loan file. I mean, that's second to none. Now you combine that with the ability to dial your own accuracy goals all the way down to that field level. I mean, we're really putting you in charge of, of the process. And when we talk about those 3 documents you highlighted, Dave, with over 1,100 data elements, imagine if you had to take those off of those documents manually. The process using ID on demand is not only much faster, but it's much more accurate, allowing your team to focus on much more meaningful work in their day. And consider the benefits you'd have if you built the file from start to finish, purifying the data like we just showed. So the last thing I want to talk about before we turn it over to Q&A is our Try Before You Buy program. So as part of our discovery process, we're going to provide you and your team with credentials so you can get on platform and play in the system live. Because this is a fully baked delivery, there's no need for professional services and there's no implementation fee. I mean, it's literally plug and play. So in saying that, I challenge any of the lenders out there today, we could get you started to play in the system next week. Just reach out.
Who's going to accept the challenge, folks? I can't wait to find out. I will take you through some questions if that's cool, Craig and David. So the product seems easy to use, but can training and setup be done while we are all working remotely?
Absolutely. And I was trained remotely on the system. It took 45 minutes. And I would say that, I've spent several hours in there making sure that I knew where everything was, but it's a very simple tool to use. 1, 2, 3, it's really easy, Karen.
Awesome. If I started out using your UI, could I then migrate to Leverage API?
Absolutely. We've got a few different clients actually starting that very direction where they're going to use our user interface while they work on the integration on their side to be able to take advantage of the APIs. So absolutely, very easily, yes.
Perfect. How do you secure the information and documents that pass through the system?
Well, again, it's all cloud native. So everything is built into the cloud. It's highly securable. It's highly scalable. And it just allows us to just keep better authentication on the data itself.
Perfect. Couple more audience questions. How does this integrate into various POS or LOS systems on the front end and in process? Like, do you integrate with Encompass? This one was that what they were asking about specifically.
So yeah, I mean, today we have, like I said, it's fully API capable. So we are willing to work with the LOSs and the POSs to have them integrated into the solution and just make it easier for you as the lender or the client to be able to process loans more faster, much more with much less, as Craig likes to say.
Awesome. What % of documents are delivered without human intervention?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm not sure I actually know that answer. I do know that we have quite a few large clients that deliver several thousand loans to us a day that have zero human intervention. So I do know it's possible, but I don't know the exact percentage there.
Perfect. Well, thank you to Craig, the VP of Sales for LoanLogics, and David, Director of Product Initiatives, for joining us today. We had a great time, and I will hand back over to Clayton to bring us home.